I need to tell someone what happened to me on Route 112. Because 3 weeks ago, I picked up a woman on the side of the road, and when I looked at the passenger mirror, there was no reflection. Just something dark, folded inside itself, wearing her skin. And whatever it was, I don't think it ever left my car. It was late October. I was driving back from my mother's funeral in Gallup, New Mexico. 16 hours of nothing between me and home. By the time the sun dropped behind the mesas, I was somewhere in the dead stretch between Flagstaff and Kingman, Arizona. If you've ever driven that corridor at night, you know what I mean when I say it feels like the world just stops existing. No streetlights, no houses, no cell signal. Just your headlights carving a tunnel through black air and the dotted line pulling you forward like a leash. I was tired, not sleepy, tired. The kind of tired that grief puts in your bones. The coffee had gone cold 2 hours ago. The radio had been static since the last town. So I turned it off and let the silence sit with me. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was a road sign, something catching my headlights on the shoulder. But road signs don't move. And this, at maybe 200 feet out, shifted its weight. The way someone does when they've been standing too long and their legs are starting to hurt. A woman, young, maybe mid-20s, jeans, a grey hoodie, sneakers, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, the kind of messy that happens after hours, not minutes. One arm raised, thumb out, the other wrapped around herself like she was cold. No car behind her, no bags, nothing. Just a girl on the side of a highway that doesn't see another human being for 100 miles in either direction. She looked like a college student, like someone who'd had a fight with her boyfriend at a gas station and he'd driven off without her. There was nothing strange about her, nothing unsettling, nothing that would make you think twice. And that is what I can't forgive myself for, because she looked exactly like someone you're supposed to help. I stopped. I know. God, I know. I'm the guy in the movie that the whole audience screams at. I've been that audience. I've read the threads on Reddit. I always thought, that's fiction. That stuff doesn't happen in real life. Real life has explanations. Real life has logic. And in real life, when you see a woman crying alone on the side of the road at 1 a.m. in the middle of absolutely nowhere, you help. That's what a good person does. I can't say she made me stop. I can't say I was tricked by some supernatural force. I stopped because I'm a decent person. And that's exactly what it was counting on. My first instinct was to call the police, keep the doors locked, dial 911, wait for a patrol car. But I grabbed my phone. Nothing. No bars, no signal. 60 miles from the nearest town in any direction. And she just stood there, shaking, arms wrapped around herself, not approaching the car, not doing anything threatening, just waiting. Like she'd already accepted that I would drive past her, the same way everyone else probably had. That's what broke me. That quiet resignation. She wasn't begging. She was just there, hoping. I am a fool. I replay this moment every single night and I think, just drive. She's not your responsibility. You don't owe a stranger your safety. But all I thought in that moment was, I can't leave her here. No one else is coming. I rolled the window down 3 inches. You okay? Need a ride to the next town? She nodded, wiped her eyes. Thank you, she said. And it sounded normal, grateful. She even laughed a little, that short, shaky laugh people do when they're trying not to cry harder. I thought no one was going to stop. I unlocked the door. She got in, pulled the seatbelt across her chest, tucked her hands between her knees. She smelled like dust and something faintly sweet, old perfume that had been on skin too long. Everything about her was painfully normal. She told me her name was Emily, said her car had overheated about 5 miles back and her phone had died. She was visiting her mom in Laughlin. She spoke softly, like someone who didn't want to be a burden. I started to relax. I started to feel good about myself even, like I'd done the right thing, like the world wasn't as dark as the stories make it seem. Then I noticed the cold. It didn't come from outside. The windows were up, the heat was on, but the temperature inside the car was dropping fast. I could see my breath. I glanced at the thermostat, 68 degrees, but it felt like 30. "You feel that?" I said. She didn't answer. I looked over. She was sitting in the same position, hands between her knees, seatbelt on, eyes forward. But she wasn't shivering, and her face had gone completely still. Not relaxed, not asleep, still. Like a paused video. Like someone had pressed stop on whatever was animating her and left the shell sitting there. "Emily?" Nothing. I checked the side mirror. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Or maybe something in the back of my brain was already screaming and I just hadn't heard it yet. The passenger side mirror, the one that should have shown her profile, her shoulder, the side of her face. There was no reflection. It was there. The seatbelt was there, stretched across empty air. But where she should have been, there was something else. Not a shadow. Shadows have shape. This was like a hole in the mirror. A dense, folded darkness, like something too large compressed into a space too small. And it was shifting, breathing. I looked for 1 second, and in that second, the thing in the mirror moved toward the glass. Every rational thought I had left screamed the same thing. Stop the car, open her door, push her out, drive. My foot was already moving toward the brake when she spoke. "Don't stop." It wasn't Emily's voice anymore. It was dry and layered, like 3 people whispering the same words at slightly different speeds. And it came from right next to my ear, even though she hadn't moved. "If you have anyone you love, anyone waiting for you at the end of this road, do not stop this car." My foot froze. "What the hell are you?" She turned her head toward me, slowly, the way an owl turns, too smooth, too far, like the bones in her neck weren't connected the way they should be. Her face was still the same, still Emily, still the girl with the messy ponytail and the grey hoodie, but her eyes were wrong. The pupils had stretched, not dilated, stretched, vertically, like cuts in skin, like something behind her face was looking out through slits. "What's happening?" I was shaking so hard the steering wheel was vibrating. "What do you want from me?" She smiled, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen, because it was still a human smile. Lips, teeth, the right muscles, but there was nothing behind it. No warmth, no thought. A smile the way a mask is a face, something learned, something copied. "Drive," she said. So I drove. I drove because her voice had said, "If you have anyone you love." And my daughter's face flashed behind my eyes so fast it felt like a punch. The thing sitting next to me knew exactly what to say to keep me in that seat, with my hands on the wheel and my foot on the gas. And as I drove, the road began to change. The center line disappeared. The pavement got darker, wetter, though it hadn't rained in weeks. My headlights didn't reach as far anymore. The beams just stopped, like the darkness ahead was something solid. And the desert on either side, the scrub brush, the sand, the rocks, was gone, replaced by flat, black, endless nothing, like driving across the surface of a dead ocean. The odometer hadn't moved. 20 minutes of driving and not a single mile counted. "Where are we?" I whispered. "You're still on the road. You just aren't where you think you are." She started humming. Low and tuneless, barely above silence, but I could feel it, in my teeth, in the base of my skull, vibrating through the steering wheel into my palms. And with every second, the darkness outside pressed closer. The world was shrinking around us. "You should stop looking for explanations," she said. And when I turned, her face was inches from mine. Her eyes were fully open, and they weren't eyes anymore. Vertical black slits cut into something that used to be a face, and behind them there was depth. Not darkness, depth. Like looking into a well with no bottom, and something at the very bottom looking back up. I screamed, jerked the wheel, the car fishtailed, tires shrieking, the whole frame shaking. And for one horrible second I felt the car lift. Not like a skid, like being picked up. Like something underneath the road reached up and grabbed the chassis and held it. Then everything slammed back down. The tires bit asphalt. I stomped the brakes so hard my body slammed into the seatbelt. The car skidded to a stop sideways across both lanes. She was gone. The passenger seat was empty. The door was still locked. The window still cracked 3 inches. But the cold lingered. And on the seat where she'd been sitting, there was a handprint. Not on the fabric, in it. Like someone had pressed their hand down with the force of a hydraulic press. The foam underneath was crushed flat. I drove the remaining 4 hours home at 90 miles an hour with every light in the car on. I didn't stop for gas. I didn't stop to eat. I didn't stop when I saw another figure standing on the shoulder near Needles. And I definitely didn't stop when it raised its thumb. It's been 3 weeks. I haven't driven at night since, but every evening around sunset, I hear it, that humming, low and tuneless, coming from the passenger seat of my car parked in the driveway. Last night I went out to check. The seat was empty, but the handprint was deeper.